Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out America Dismantles Pirate Nations for touching their boats, the Barbary Wars by the Fat Electrician. Yes guys, this has recommended me a ton over on our last Fat Electrician video that we checked out, the first one on the channel, and that got a ton of views, ton of positive feedback. So big thank you to everyone and all of our new subscribers for checking out the channel, giving me the time of day. I really appreciate you guys. But yeah, the Barbary Wars. I don't really know a whole ton about the Barbary Wars. I believe I can tell you what it was over, at least, which is the case of, what was it? Ottoman, basically pirates at the time were basically plundering American trade boats, shipping boats, and I believe even taking slaves when they did so, which, you know, obviously pissed off America quite a bit, and I'm pretty sure you guys intervened. I don't know the full story. I don't know, like, the specifics of it, the geopolitics, I guess, at the time. You know, I'm not too educated on American history, unfortunately, you know, being a Canadian, obviously. So, yeah, I'm excited to check this out here today. Of course, if you guys enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course, leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principes, Dagenhart, and Hobbit, and of course, our Prefect here. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day, of course. And with that, guys, I say we get right into this video. Again, I don't know a whole lot of specifics about this incident, so or about this this I guess it's a war, right? It's a series of wars, potentially wars plural. So yeah, let's check it out. Captions are on. Let's make sure quality's good, quality's great, full screen. Without any further delay, guys, let's get it.
Ah yes, that time that pirates kept messing with American ships, so George Washington founded the United States Navy to do something about it. Yeah, the United States Navy.
So this was back in the late 1700s, damn.
Of hunting pirates. Today we're talking
makes a
about
lot
the
of
Barbary
sense.
Wars. Ladies and gentlemen, it is pretty much an ongoing internet joke.
Given the
You
time
do not
period,
mess
of course.
with America's boats, you know, because of Operation Praying Mantis, that time that America decided they were going to sink half of Iran's navy.
Oh, we learned all
in,
about that
8
last
hours.
time.
And Vietnam, and World War II, and World War I, and the Spanish-American War, and the War of 1812. I guess if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you, this is the origin story of why you don't mess with America's boats. But first,
that makes sense.
Sponsor, because this video is brought to you by my favorite underwear company, Sheath.
Oh,
wait, hold on. I'm
Sheath.
supposed to read a script for this one. Here's how to do a perfect ad read.
That's a pretty good name for some underwear. Damn.
Our favorite sponsor for today's show, which is Sheath Underwear. Sheath makes the comfortable boxer briefs ever worn, and Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. This shit's fucking lame. Okay, look, here's the deal. Whether you're talking to a veteran, a construction worker, or your dad, they're all going to tell you that there's one universal truth to life, and that truth is that cargo pockets are fucking awesome.
True.
Damn right.
If you think cargo shorts are cool, wait till you try cargo underwear, except the cargo
underwear,
balls
bro.
not being stuck to your thigh technology. And I know
Revolutionary.
Thinking,
what the fuck?
Electron guy. What if I try them out and I don't like it? Cool. Just wear them like normal underwear, and then you have a bonus cargo pocket. Nobody in the history of mankind has ever been like, damn it, I have too many available cargo pockets.
Literally.
It's never happened.
Cargo shorts are not even cute at all.
First of all, cargo shorts
Who
are
gives a
awesome. They always
fuck?
have been. Second of all, you know
It's
what
not
really
about style, it's about
cargo pocket having
practicality.
You don't feel either of us?
Damn, dude. Yeah, no, I feel that.
Well, at least
I don't
know
feel
who
that.
will
I'm not
put
married,
their phone
thankfully.
In my pocket next time we go somewhere. Anyways, if you wanted to try some Sheath cargo underwear for yourself or buy some as a gift for your significant other, I'll have them linked in the description down below, and you can use the discount code FATElectrician for 20% off. Back to the video. All right, here's the deal. For 3 centuries, pirates from the Barbary.
I just want to say, guys, go use code FATElectrician if you plan on buying Sheath underwear. Yeah, clearly puts a lot of work. You got that sponsor. That's good shit. Definitely deserves it. If you plan on buying some new underwear, it sounds like a great alternative. I mean, hell, 20% off. Might as well take advantage. Go use this code, guys.
Electrician for 20% off. Back to the video. All right, here's the deal. For 3 centuries, pirates from the Barbary states of Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli would raid merchant vessels in the Mediterranean, steal all the goods, and imprison and turn all of the crew members into slaves.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
why was this
slavery,
allowed to go on
yeah.
for over 300 years? Well, the only navies powerful enough to stop these pirates at the time were the Spanish, the French, and the British. And
I was gonna say, yeah, when you're talking about naval power, especially at the tail end of the 1700s, yeah, it's as you say, like, yeah, the French, or as a Fat Electrician says there, the British, the French, and the Spanish. That's basically it. And if it directly benefits them, you know, because I know a lot of these countries got, like, you know, treaties with them. They also hired them kind of as privateers in a sense, I believe. You know, when you can start playing this pirate force to your advantage against your enemies, there's less of an incentive to outright go get rid of them. Also, doing so obviously puts your navy at risk and allows an opening, I should say, to any other competing nations to come and, fuck with your shit, your trade routes, whatever have you. And shipping was a massive, massive thing back in the day. It was how everything was done, obviously. Especially when you're talking about transatlantic travel at that time. It took months and months. So to get a trade boat rated right as it approaches the European shores or mid-Atlantic, that's a big deal, right? So yeah, no, definitely I can see why America, obviously away from Europe, away from like the political struggles of Europe, has no gain to be had with the Ottoman Empire. Why the fuck wouldn't they want to get rid of this shit, especially if it's like hindering them directly? Makes complete sense to me.
The only navies powerful enough to stop these pirates at the time were the Spanish, the French, and the British. And they all came to the same conclusion that it would be cheaper to pay off the pirates, giving them a yearly tribute to raid their ships rather than go to war with them. So now those three empires aren't getting their ships raided, which is fine. That's a good thing, I guess. But here's the catch with it that they may or may not have known at the time, but they definitely figured out somewhere along the way. Now the pirates are only raiding all the smaller nations. Okay, it's like Walmart, Target, and Amazon getting together, encouraging shoplifting, knowing that they can shoulder the financial burden.
Literally.
It puts all the other mom and pop stores out of business, and they become the only ones selling goods.
That's a great analogy. I'm not gonna lie. That's a really good analogy.
Nations. This goes on for literally hundreds of years, but America is still part of the British Empire, so they fall under their umbrella of protection, so it's never an issue. That was until the American Revolution started on April 19th, 1775, with the shot heard around the world, the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and the famous story of a 78-year-old veteran going out into his front yard and shooting 3 redcoats as they retreated back to Boston, sending the message for all of America that the British Empire should get off of our lawn. Fast forward
I had no idea. This guy was 78 years old. Is that how the American Civil War started? Not Civil War. The American Revolutionary War started. Civil War. Jesus Christ, that's not the same thing at all. No, I had no idea. Damn, that guy's kind of a Chad. 78 years old in 1775. Holy fuck. That's pretty good. He's doing pretty well for himself and still shouldering arms and fighting against the oppressors. Damn, dude.
Sending the message for all of America that the British Empire should get off of our lawn.
I was gonna say the Patriot. He looks a lot younger in that. Holy.
Officially becoming its own country, and all of America's merchant vessels start flying the old red, white, and blue. And pretty much immediately, 1784, one of America's merchant vessels is captured by Barbary pirates from the country of Morocco. As an act of good faith for a new nation, Spain actually pays off the pirates, gets the American vessel and all of its crew back, returns it to America, and then advises the American government, hey, you guys should start paying these guys off too. That's what all the big nations are doing. At which point, America's minister to France, a guy by the name of Thomas Jefferson, chimes in and he's like, no, absolutely not. I'm gonna go talk to him. Now, obviously I'm paraphrasing here, but basically Thomas Jefferson rolls up and he's like, hey, don't ever fuck with my boats ever again or else. At which point the Sultan of Morocco is like, I'm sorry, who are you? I'm Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of America. We just kicked the British out of our entire country. We're our own thing now. I'm sorry, you fucking pilgrims did what now? We beat the British in war, and now we are our own country. You mean to tell me that a bunch of colonial farmers with muskets went toe-to-toe with the largest military on the planet that is so good at war that they can literally wear high-vis red coats the entire time and still win, and you beat them? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm telling you. I mean, yeah, I could probably just leave your boats alone from now on. That historically seems like it's going to be a really good idea. And that is the story of how Morocco came to be.
I want to say it is a little bit more than that. Like, when you're talking about the American colonies at the time of the Revolutionary War, right? Like, there's so fucking many people living in America at this time. Now, obviously, the 13 colonies is a lot smaller, like, in terms of landmass than the America we know it today, obviously. At this time period, but there's still so many people living there, and the British to exert force, especially across the sea like that, it was not a viable thing to do en masse. The second you guys started like rising up, you started having multiple colonies rising up, the British had no fucking chance of like keeping that shit under wraps. They could deploy thousands of soldiers, but to actually supply those soldiers over the Atlantic, when you have like France, fucking around, you have Spain fucking around. You have all these other different, Prussia, European nations that are, doing their own thing over in Europe. You have your African colonies, the Asian colonies at this time. There's a lot of power to exert, and simply put, you guys had way too many people to keep under wraps for the British. It's just it wasn't going to be possible the second it started gaining steam. So like, yeah, props to you guys for getting that shit done. Holy, a lot of brave people during that time.
From now on, that historically seems like it's going to be a really good idea. And that is the story of how Morocco came to be the first country to recognize America as its own sovereign nation by signing the Moroccan-American Treaty of Peace and Friendship, which is the first and longest lasting peace treaty in American history. At which point Thomas Jefferson is like, wow, that actually worked out perfect. I'm going to go to the other 3 Barbary states and tell them the same thing now. But of course, there's going to be a catch with that. You see, there's 4 Barbary states, but Morocco's the only one that's actually truly independent, and the other 3 are just subservient branches of the Ottoman Empire. So Thomas Jefferson and John Adams go to talk to the ambassador of Tripoli, and they're like, hey, can all the Ottoman Barbary states leave our boats alone?
So I want to say on that, I was half correct. So the Ottomans, they basically have those 3 countries, Algeria. I want to see that map again, actually. What is it? Algeria, Tunisia, and Tripoli. They're basically kind of like a tributary or like a subject state. Morocco is fully independent, but they do still subscribe to like the practice of Barbary piratism, I guess you could say. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to clear that up.
The other 3 are just subservient branches of the Ottoman Empire. So Thomas Jefferson and John Adams go to talk to the ambassador of Tripoli, and they're like, hey, can all the Ottoman Barbary states leave our boats alone? At which point the ambassador informs them, absolutely not. You see, we're part of the Ottoman Empire. We don't need to listen to you. We're not scared of you guys. And it is our official stance that, and I quote, it was written in the Quran that all nations which had not acknowledged the prophet were sinners, who it was the right and duty of the faithful to plunder and enslave.
Man, that's crazy shit, isn't it?
Everything's got a price, apparently. So Thomas Jefferson is like, well, okay, we're going to war then. And that's when John
like,
Adams
respectfully,
is like,
of course. I know that's,
let's just pay the tribute so that our ships can be fine. We already disbanded the Continental Navy after winning the Revolutionary War. We don't have a navy to fight these guys. We just have to give them the money. So that's what happened. For the next 8 to 10 years, America would pay tribute every year to these 3 remaining Barbary states, and every year they wanted more and more money, and eventually even that wasn't enough because Algiers began attacking American vessels anyways. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that for the first time in American history, somebody has fucked with one of America's boats, and they're not immediately sorry about it.
And I will say too, like, especially after you're paying tribute, right? You're paying tribute specifically to not have your boats raided, and they're going out of their way to break that agreement and still raid your shit. Yeah, that's kind of a line too far. I can especially see, and again, the resources, the industrial capabilities of America, what it will eventually become, and your population, the growing population in the North American continent at that time. Man, it's, like, you guys definitely have the capability to put some boats together, and I'm assuming that's exactly what you guys are going to do here. You guys, straight up, you put your mind to something. I will say, America, you guys, for the large part, you do intervene sometimes. Sometimes you try to stay in, like, out of stuff. You try to stay, like, very, very to yourselves kind of thing. But the second someone starts fucking with your overseas assets, bro, like you guys just go all in with it, like straight up. And I feel like it's always been that way. It's hilarious to me. I love it.
American history. Somebody has fucked with one of America's boats and they're not immediately sorry about it. Yet. The president at the time, George Washington, goes to Congress and pretty much tells them what's going to happen because at this point in time, George Washington is basically the king of America. Nobody actually knows if he's going to step down from presidency or not. So he's like, hey, guess what? You guys are going to pass the Naval Act of 1794, establishing the United States Navy. And at the very top of that document, it very clearly states that the purpose we are building the United States Navy is so that we can combat Algerine corsairs, which is just a fancy word for
holy shit
pirates. Yes, I'm telling you that the founding document of the most powerful navy the world has ever seen at the top specifically states the sole reason for their creation is to hunt down and destroy pirates that had the audacity to fuck with one of America's ships.
Not even like just pirates. If you look at the document, it's like straight up Algerian corsairs. Like it names the specific country. Like this is, you fuckers are the reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, holy shit. That's fucking crazy to see, man. Like straight up. And I wonder too, like it's got to have been amended, right? Or does it still say to this day, like, yeah, the main purpose is to combat Algerian fucking pirates? specifically. Like that's crazy work.
Is so that we can combat
Holy
Algerine corsairs, which is just a fancy word for state-funded pirates. Yes, I'm telling you that the founding document of the most powerful navy the world has ever
fucking
seen
insane.
at the top specifically states the sole reason for their creation is to hunt down and destroy pirates that had the audacity to fuck with one of America's ships. We've officially entered the find out portion of the story. America immediately commissions the building of 6 enormous frigates covered in guns to go fight these pirates. Fast forward to when the frigates are done, it takes a couple years. It is now 1798, and George Washington has decided to step down from power, allowing for an election to happen, and we are now into the second president of America, John Adams. And John Adams decides he would rather keep paying tribute.
Really?
America just created the Navy, spent $1 million creating all these frigates, and now John Adams isn't going to use them.
Those are beautiful warships at the time,
Obviously,
too.
a lot of people
I love the
upset,
merchant
including
navy and
his own
like
vice president,
sailing ships of
Thomas
that time,
Jefferson.
bro. They look awesome.
Thomas Jefferson, the vice president at the time, immediately begins campaigning to run against the sitting president in the next election. And one of his biggest platforms is that he is going to go fight these pirates rather than pay them tribute. And his slogan for this is, and I quote, "Millions in defense before a cent in tribute." Okay, just so we're clear, Thomas Jefferson's platform for running for president is, I'm going to spend millions of dollars in defense, which might as well be hundreds of billions of dollars at that point.
Which sounds
Because
great to the
America
American
no
people,
longer
I'm sure.
negotiates with terrorists, and I'm pretty sure my high school English teacher would refer to this as foreshadowing. So Thomas Jefferson wins the election. The entire world finds out that he's going to be the third president of the United States of America. And then on March 4th, 1801, the day of his inauguration, he receives a letter from Yusuf Karmanali, the Pasha of Tripoli. If you don't know, Pasha is like the dictator, the king, the president, the main dude in charge.
Right,
and at this point, Thomas Jefferson, the guy who just ran an entire presidential campaign on, I'm going to go...
I don't want to be like that guy, but so like I'm assuming like Sultanate would be like emperor in a sense, and then the Sultanate would be in the Ottoman Empire, and these as like tribute states would be, well, the term he just said, it would be like a king, right? Kind of overseeing that territory. I don't know like the way like the Muslim, I guess, like hierarchy structure works for that time period, but I'm assuming it's much like that, like emperor, king, you know, duke, count kind of thing. I'm assuming it's just the same but different names.
At this point, Thomas Jefferson, the guy who just ran an entire presidential campaign on, I'm gonna go fight pirates, is thinking in his head, like, maybe this guy found out that I'm about to send a navy over there to beat him up, and he's gonna send...
Yeah, maybe he's gonna say, like, sorry, yeah.
...treaty like Morocco did.
We don't want to fight, yeah.
Already working out great. I might not even have to send my navy.
It's gonna be a spit in the eyes, isn't it?
He opens the letter, and Pasha Yusuf Karmanali has decided that he is gonna poke the Pilgrim King, because he is now demanding that because of the new administration, the United States owes him an extra $225,000 in tribute. And
what
Thomas
the fuck?
Jefferson is pissed.
I'd lose my fucking mind.
Originally, Thomas Jefferson was going to have to go to Congress, get permission to activate the Navy to send him over there to fight these pirates, but not now.
And I have to say, too, I can see, like, where they're coming from, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, the Barbary states at this point are looking at, like, America like, oh, they're across the Atlantic, what the fuck are they going to do about it? They need to send their trade ships over here. Even if they have a navy to exert force, there's no way they're going to be able to supply that. We have more ships, but they're not like brand new, top of the line, fucking, this is how it's done kind of ships, you know, sailing ships at the time. And again, America has the potential to just keep putting more and more money into these bigger and bigger boats, you know what I'm saying? And eventually, like, their industry is going to completely fucking outclass. It already does completely outclass that of the Barbary pirates, very clearly by the simple fact of they wouldn't be resorting to piracy, that's the word, piratism, what the fuck am I talking about? They wouldn't be resorting to piracy if their nation could sustain it otherwise, right? So that alone kind of proves, like, you know, you're gonna outscale them completely. If they fuck around here, you absolutely have the potential to smash them, and I'm assuming that's exactly what's gonna end up happening.
Jefferson was gonna have to go to Congress, get permission to activate the Navy to send him over there
like,
to
there's
fight
no
these
way.
pirates, but not now. He's so mad. We're activating the Rainbow Shortcut to ass whooping.
Send it now.
And
Yeah.
Pasha Yusuf is gonna have some consequences immediately because he's sending the Navy today. But like I said, it takes a literal act of Congress to send the U.S. Navy over there on a military mission. So Thomas Jefferson is like, that's fine. We just won't send them on a military mission. Fill up one of our frigates with a bunch of gifts and peace offerings, for Pasha Yusuf, and then give it a nice healthy escort of other frigates to defend it and send them on their merry way.
That's
to
fucking amazing.
Deliver the gifts. Right after he gives the commander of the United
What a
States
fucking-
Navy the standing order that he is also to defend any American citizen or ship from any potential aggression. Not aggression, potential aggression. If
That's so supreme, dude. Oh my god, dude. I love America. I'm not gonna lie. That's fucking amazing. So you guys like sent a ship over there under the guise of, okay, we have frigates alongside as like a trade escort, right? But even up on the approach of like any of these fucking Barbary pirates, bro, blow them out of the water. Don't stand for like, you know, any sort of aggression towards American ships here. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, you're tempting them to like come and like, oh yeah, like board your ships and like search your holds and shit, take what they want, commit piracy, right? But dude, that's fucking amazing. That's an amazing get around, I have to say. That's fucking impressive as shit.
potential
I love that.
aggression, not aggression, potential
aggression.
If he thinks that somebody else might be thinking about doing something aggressive,
fuck them up. Yeah.
Take them down. Do your stuff.
so the Navy
That's
sets
awesome.
sail. They're gone. They're
That's so
en
good.
route. Thomas Jefferson's sitting in his office, and he comes to the realization, man, I'm pretty sure these pirates are going to attack him. But if they don't, they're actually going to end up giving Pasha What's-His-Nuts a bunch of these gifts. And I can't have it. So he whips out the old quill and parchment. And he writes a letter back and sends that off. And that letter basically reads, hey, America's done giving you tribute for the rest of forever. F off. And obviously the letter makes it there first, at which point Pasha goes to the American consulate building and chops down the flagpole with the American flag on it, which in that part of the world is how you declare war. So the
Wow.
US Navy shows up off the coast of the Barbary states. The pirates attack them because they've already declared war.
So they
The
sent
US
like a
Navy
false
defends
flag straight
themselves.
up, bro.
Word
That's
gets back
amazing.
to
What the
America.
fuck?
Congress then is like, oh, hey, we're at war. We're going to go ahead and give Thomas Jefferson permission to use the United States Marine
Oh, look at that. The
Corps
boats are
at
already
his
there.
discretion. And this is why, to this day, the United States Marine Corps is the only branch of the U.S. military that can be sent and deployed anywhere in the world without congressional approval. So for the next
Wow.
2 years, the U.S. Navy and the Marine Corps set up a naval blockade and
I didn't
just
know
go on a
that.
pirate hunting extravaganza until October of 1803, when the USS Philadelphia would get hung up on an uncharted reef right off the coast of Tripoli. The pirates seize this opportunity. They attack the USS Philadelphia, board it, take the crew hostage, and then over the next couple months, they were able to repair it enough to get it back into the harbor at Tripoli, where they then anchored it in place and used it as fixed artillery because it had way more guns than any other vessel they had.
That's
Cue our
fucking
first main
amazing.
Character Stephen Decatur,
Use it as
the
fixed
commander of the
artillery.
USS Enterprise, America's unofficial flagship. He decides that he's going to don his plot armor.
Wait, the USS Enterprise? Really?
USS Enterprise.
That's amazing. I had no idea. You guys actually, so one of your very first like frigates made was actually just called the USS Enterprise. That's actually sick. I had no idea. That's where that name comes from. That's really, really cool. I had no idea.
Is America's unofficial flagship. He decides that he's going to don his plot armor, take the USS Enterprise out, and acquire himself a pirate ship, which he does.
Damn.
He then takes that pirate ship and the USS Enterprise and sails both of them to Sicily, where he hires 5 Sicilian mercenaries that know how to speak Arabic. They then sail back to Tripoli, where Decatur and 80 Marines are going to go below deck of this pirate ship, which has now been christened the USS Intrepid, as the 5 mercenaries are going to sail
Intrepid,
directly
okay.
into the heart of the harbor, pretending to be Barbary pirates.
I
They
see.
then go directly to the USS Philadelphia. 80 Marines and Stephen Decatur run out, kill the entire crew of pirates that are on the USS Philadelphia, and reclaim it. Unfortunately,
Damn.
the USS Philadelphia is too damaged to actually be used as a ship ever again, at which point Stephen Decatur decides, fine, we're just going to burn the entire thing to the ground,
Yeah.
because if we can't have it, nobody
Got
can.
asset denial.
Deprive the enemy of nice things. I'm pretty
Yeah, straight up. If you lose a ship, especially at this time, dude, like a frigate like that, losing that to the enemy, that's massive. And especially, you know, the Barbary pirates at this time, they don't have anything like that. You know, they got small kind of like, you know, pirate vessels. They don't have like huge fucking warships. They don't have the industrial capability or the money for it, right? So to let that fall in the enemy hands, that's a big deal. Obviously, it's not saleable, but yeah, fixed artillery, that makes sense. It's a floating fortress, for Christ's sake. So like, what, you're looking at like 24 to 30 guns on each side, on each broadside of that ship. That's a fucking crazy amount of firepower, especially you rip the cannons out, you know, you place them elsewhere. You know, you're looking at like a lot of potential given firepower to the enemy there. So yeah, just fucking burn it. Yeah. Asset denial. Yeah. Get rid of it.
Entire thing to the ground, because if we can't have it, nobody can.
Yeah.
Deprive the enemy of nice things. I'm pretty sure Sun Tzu said that. So that's exactly what they do. They light the USS Philadelphia on fire. They're positive it can't be put out, and then they bounce. Not a single American is injured, and Stephen Decatur is hailed a hero because he has now led what is, in my opinion, America's first special operations mission. So
like
now
literally,
taken
yeah.
care of, the problem at hand is that the crew of the USS Philadelphia is still being held hostage by the Barbary pirates, and they want a ton of money in exchange for them back. However, America no longer negotiates with terrorists, and that's not an option. Cue our next two main characters, William Eaton and Presley O'Bannon. And before you ask, yes, Presley O'Bannon, as in the USS O'Bannon, the Fletcher-class destroyer from World War II that sank a Japanese submarine with potatoes. So they go in and they pitch their idea of how they're going to
I've never heard of that. What the fuck?
Philadelphia back, and it is, by every definition, a special operations mission. Basically, they want to take themselves, 2 dudes, plus 6 Marines for a total of 8 guys, and they're going to get dropped off in Egypt, because in Egypt is Yusuf Karmali's brother that is living in exile because Yusuf kicked him out because he is technically the rightful heir of Tripoli. So they're going to get that guy and all the buddies that are loyal to him, like 500 men, and then they're going to march them through the desert to Derna, where they are then going to use them to fight and take over the city and exchange the city for the crew of the USS Philadelphia. And
are they, is this kind of like America's very first like political like struggle, you know what I'm saying? Like external political struggle that they've been a part of? Like, you know, like coup d'etat, like we're going to install a new regime kind of thing. Like that's not quite, right? But like kinda, like you're kind of supporting like a, you know, an exiled like ruler at this point. Damn, really? I didn't realize it started this early. So what are we, like 1801, 1804 at this point?
And take over the city and exchange the city for the crew of the USS Philadelphia. And upon hearing this ridiculous plan, the US military leadership is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You want to take a small contingency of men, be dropped off in a foreign country, meet up with a rebel leader who already has a bunch of men, and then convince him that you're going to help him overthrow a current dictator, and then he can be the new dictator, and basically we're using other people to fight other people that we don't like to benefit us. And Presley O'Bannon and Eaton are like, yeah, that's pretty much exactly it. And the government is like, this is a terrific idea.
It is.
We're probably
fantastic.
never going to do anything like this ever again.
We're
not going to have an entire branch of special forces that specialize.
Literally.
Sorry, anyways, that's exactly what they do.
Holy shit.
In Egypt, they
because America has never fucked around with other people's like, you know, political structure before. That's right.
Go. Somewhere along the way, the Marines also picked up 50 Greek mercenaries as they all began marching 500 miles through the Libyan desert to get back to the Tripolitan coast. And this march through the desert takes 50 days, and it is a complete shit show because somewhere along the way, they start running low on supplies and they have to start rationing. And then some people get mad. There's accusations because the Greek guys are Christian, Hamet's guys are Muslims.
Oh my God.
Amongst themselves. And there's these 8 Marines standing in the middle, desperately trying to keep them from killing each other as they march through the desert.
Literally.
So despite multiple mutiny attempts and a ton of fights, the Marines were able to keep this group together enough to make it through the Libyan desert till they arrived at the coastal city of Bamba. Once they
That's kind of
there,
impressive.
They meet up with the USS Argus that gives them a bunch of supplies so they can start eating food again, and they give enough money to pay off the Greek mercenaries. Then Eaton decides that he's going to send a letter over to the governor of Derna right next door, because remember, we can't attack unless they're potentially aggressive. Okay, so he sends a letter and is basically like, hey, I'm going to march my army through the middle of your town to go kill your boss on my way to Tripoli. Can I have some safe passage and maybe some food? The governor of Derna sends a letter back that says, my head or yours, which sounds potentially aggressive enough.
It does.
So they begin making the plan for the ground attack. Hamet and his men are going to take the governor's palace.
I like how you guys, like, not you guys, but I like how at the time it's literally just like, oh yeah, let's instigate a fight. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what it is. It's a little bit of instigation. We're going to march our army through to go kill the person in charge. Like, you better not attack us. Also, can we get some food on the way by? And it's like, no, of course you fucking can't do that. Okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and do it anyway, so get fucked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, it's the rules of engagement at the time, potentially aggressive. So how can we make them potentially aggressive? You know, like let's poke the bear. I'm not disagreeing with it, because at the time, you know, fuck them, right? Like, they're pirates, right? They're literally like, you know, raiding international shipping. Everyone's been paying them how much money for how many years? Fuck it, yeah. Stop it. Put an end to it. Yeah, I'm all for it personally.
Enough. So they begin making the plan for the ground attack. Hamet and his men are going to take the governor's palace, and the Marines and the Greek mercenaries...
Just the person they're installing is probably going to do the
fortress.
same
But
thing.
to do that, they're going to need a cannon from the USS Argus, so they're going to meet up with it, go get this cannon, and prepare for their attack. Cut back to Stephen Decatur. While all this has been happening, there's still been a naval battle in the Mediterranean the entire time, and Stephen Decatur is on an absolute rampage, because after he captured his first pirate ship, he would receive word that his brother, James Decatur, had been mortally wounded by one of the pirate ship's captains, who was pretending to surrender before shooting his younger brother. Upon hearing this, Decatur immediately gives command of the new captured vessel to one of his men, leaves a couple guys with him, and takes off to track down this pirate ship that just killed his brother. So they chase down this pirate ship, they pull up right next to it, and before the crew has time to do any boarding procedures, you know, like break out the planks, tie some ropes to the other ship, all that stuff you see in the movies, nah. Stephen
just blast them?
Jumps into the enemy ship.
Oh no, really?
Pirates immediately.
Holy
9
shit.
Marines, seeing that happen, are like, oh shit, we're doing this. So they jump onto the pirate ship too and start throwing down. At which point, the pirate ship veers off and breaks away from Decatur's ship. It is now 9 Marines and Stephen Decatur versus over 30 pirates on this vessel.
What the fuck?
30 is not going to be enough.
I gotta say, that's some ballsy shit right there, especially at that time period. Like that's fucking cool as shit. I'm guessing, you know, Cutlass at that point and just like leaping on board ship. You know, their ships are going to be a lot smaller. So you have a frigate vessel, and then I'm assuming it's probably like a schooner class, something of that degree, 30 men. So it's not massive. It's probably got a couple cannons, like maybe like 6 on each broadside, maybe less. I don't know the exact size we're talking here. So probably like, you know, height difference enough to leap onto the enemy ship, right? That's fucking baller. Him and 9 Marines versus like 30 guys. Break away, like no support, no elements. Obviously now that friendly ship can't fire on this pirate ship because you're probably going to kill friendlies, assuming they're still alive at that point. Damn, dude, that's ballsy. I wonder if he comes out alive from this.
Versus over 30 pirates on this vessel, and 30 is not going to be enough. Stephen Decatur kills multiple pirates, including the captain that had slain his brother, officially avenging his brother's death, capturing that vessel as well. But he is still absolutely furious.
Did they surrender, or did he kill them all?
On a rampage, capturing another pirate ship and destroying 3 more over the coming weeks. Cut back to the men on the ground. Eaton and O'Bannon.
That's pretty good efficiency.
Ready this entire time. They
for
just
back
have
then,
the men
like,
go get a cannon off the USS Argus because they really need this cannon if they're going to be able to pull off this mission. So they're ready to attack. The U.S. Navy gets into formation, and they are going to bombard the entire city of Derna while they launch this attack. Despite that, there's over 2,000 men loyal to Pasha Yusuf that are going to defend it, and they are heavily outnumbered. So Navy starts bombarding the shore. Hamet and his men take off to go attack the governor's palace, and Eaton, O'Bannon, the Marines, and the Greek mercenaries begin launching their attack on the harbor fortress. They open up with the initial cannon fire, which is going to be vital to be able to break through the enemy lines and establish their foothold. They fire the cannon. As they go to reload and fire it again, they realize that they had accidentally forgot to take the ramrod out of the cannon and shot that at the enemy too. Now the cannon's completely out, and they're kind of like, oh shit, what do we do? What do we do? And Presley O'Bannon just charges into battle as the other Marines follow behind him and the Greek mercenaries behind them. They attack so quickly and so violently that they're able to overrun the entire enemy fortress before anybody really knows what's going on. And Presley O'Bannon becomes the first American ever to raise the Star-Spangled Banner over a foreign battlefield.
I really will say, even back then, that just goes to show you what, like, the element of movement, the element of like not even surprise because they know you're coming, but just like aggression, speed, what it'll do for you, right? Everyone's settling in for like a prolonged siege. You know, they might start blasting the wall a little bit with that cannon. It's going to be prolonged. We're going to be skirmishing, taking pot shots. Nah, fuck it. Rush the walls, get up there before like the defense can actually be mustered, before any sort of organization amongst the defenders can actually be put in place, right? And by doing that, you've completely disorganized the enemy force. The second you have a breach over those walls, I'm guessing over them in this case, not through them because their cannon was malfunctioned. Yeah, you're good to go. Like the enemy cannot organize a defense at that point. You as an attacking force have the complete advantage because everyone knows kind of what their place is, what the plan is when you're attacking. But when you're defending, you have to obviously you have to react to the enemy's offensive strategy, right? So disorganization is the key when it comes to an offensive battle, like for sure, especially on a defended position. I'm assuming that that the Navy outside definitely softened up these targets. I don't know if this was all at the same place, how like close in proximity all this was to each other, but I'm assuming the Navy bombarding Shore bombarding probably caused a mass amount of confusion. Also, that alone, again, it's a floating fortress. The cannonite on that ship is enough to wipe 200 people off the map, like instantly. Not instantly, obviously, but it's enough to make most of that army rout pretty quickly. Under sustained fire, I would imagine. I definitely would not want to be hung out to dry in front of something like that, for sure, for sure.
First American ever to raise the Star-Spangled Banner over a foreign battlefield. This battle, the taking of the Tripolitan coastal city of Derna, is enshrined in Marine Corps history in the Marine Corps hymn with the line "From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli." And it is also where the Marine Corps would get their first nickname ever.
I had no idea that's where it came from. Damn.
Present for this battle fought so hard and so violently that they simply became known as the Leathernecks, referring to the leather collar that they wore around their neck to protect it from slashes from pirate swords.
I had no idea.
Men end up getting beaten back and are forced to retreat to Tripoli, at which point the Marines, the Greeks, and Hamet and his men all consolidate, figure out what happened. Hamet and his men were able to take over the governor's palace, and after the taking of the city of Derna, Hamet awards his very own sword to Presley O'Bannon as a gift for how valiantly he fought in battle. And this is the Mameluke sword, the same sword that is on the Marine Corps uniform today. So now Yusuf consolidates his military.
I had no idea, because again, I don't know a whole lot about American, military history, culture kind of thing. I had no idea that it was a Mamluk sword that they fucking used. That I guess Marine officers used. That's very, very cool. I had no idea. I didn't know they kept that tradition up to date still. Wow. That looks very cool, though.
Sword that is on the Marine Corps uniform today. So now Yusuf consolidates his military, sends an enormous army.
I thought it was like a saber or something of that degree.
And they're kind of just sitting on the outskirts of the city, waiting for the right moment to attack. Eaton and O'Bannon are writing correspondence to the U.S. military in the chain of command, like, hey, we took this entire city with like 8 Marines. Give us some reinforcements. We're going to go take Tripoli next.
Didn't mention any of the other forces used. Just 8 Marines.
This goes on for over a month, and they defend the city multiple times from attacks from Yusuf's men, and eventually Eaton receives a letter informing him that he is to stand down and just leave, because American diplomat Tobias Locke has struck up a deal with Yusuf Carminali. And apparently he struck up this deal with absolutely nobody's permission, because the deal is America is going to pay Yusuf Carminali, the pirate king, $60,000, and in exchange, we are going to receive the USS Philadelphia back, as well as a peace treaty that they are going to leave American ships alone from now on. So yeah,
isn't the Philadelphia useless? Also, like, what?
Presley O'Bannon, William Eaton, Stephen Decatur.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
They're all furious that we are now giving $60,000 to this pirate king, as opposed to overthrowing his entire city of Tripoli, or at a minimum using the fact that they're holding Derna and use that as leverage to exchange. But whatever, the war's over, I guess. For now. So the peace treaties were signed in 1805. Now, fast forward 7 years, 1812. The War of 1812 happens.
Oh, no.
Okay, if you don't know, the War of 1812, there's more to it than this, but
yeah, guys, unfortunately, I'm going to have to lose America's side on this one, guys. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, but, you see the flag up there, guys. It's, I'm it's a bit of a oof for us there. We don't like to talk about that one.
The War of 1812, there's more to it than this, but the reason that it started is that Great Britain wanted to have more control over the seas and trade, because America was getting too much, because America was no longer getting attacked by pirates, because we just beat them in a war now too. So Great Britain launches another war against America. During this war, they encourage the Barbary pirates to start attacking American vessels again. And honestly, it works out pretty good for the pirates, at least for a little while, because the American Navy is too busy to worry about them because their hands are full with the British Navy. Fast forward 2 years, 8 months later, the War of 1812 ends. Now, luckily for the Barbary pirates, Thomas Jefferson
such a useless war. Literally nothing changed, bro.
America's 4th president.
I want to say the War of 1812, just how much of a useless conflict that was for our nations. Like, literally, it resulted in no border change, no gain for either country. All we did was fucking kill each other and fight for two years, and that's it. And then we ceased hostilities, and we've never fought again since. Like, what was the fucking point? You know what I mean? What was the fucking point? And obviously Canada at that time, or British North America, we should call it, because that's what we were at that time. We were still very much a subject of the UK at that point, of the British Empire. So we could not, we didn't have a choice in the matter. We kind of had to raise up militia and fight you. The regiment I was a part of, we do trace our roots back to the War of 1812, actually, and even a little bit before that as a militia force. So it was kind of like, As a, you know, it's interesting to learn about the War of 1812 and just how fucking pointless it was.
Pirates. Thomas Jefferson is no longer president at this point. We are on to America's 4th president. Let me check my notes here. James Madison. If you don't know, James Madison is one half of what is referred to as the Forefathers dynamic duo, and the other half is his best friend of all time, Thomas Jefferson. And I don't know if you figured this out yet at this point in the story, but Thomas Jefferson hates pirates.
Yeah.
So sitting President James
I think everybody
Madison,
hates
the homer
pirates.
that he is, looks over at now Commodore Stephen Decatur and says,
"Go get him, Tiger."
He then proceeds to assemble the largest U.S. naval fleet ever. At this
Coolly
point
got a
in time
promotion
and
too.
sails
He's Commodore
directly
now.
to the Barbary coast. He then immediately tracks down Algiers' flagship, the Mashuda, takes it out, captures over 400 members of its crew, and the
Jesus.
ship itself. He then proceeds to take all of his gunboats directly to Algiers, park them in the port, and say, here's the deal. You're going to surrender, and you're never going to collect tribute from anyone ever again, or I'm going to overthrow your entire country. Obviously,
Damn.
they take the first option, at which point Decatur's like, okay, cool, next order of business. You're also going to pay me back for all the U.S. merchandise that you plundered during the War of 1812. And they're like, okay, here you go. They give it to him. He then proceeds to sail his fleet next door to Tunis and tell them the exact
same thing.
ordering them to sign a peace treaty, never raid an American vessel again, and then collects a bunch of money. He then sails them next door again to Tripoli and does the exact same thing, collects all this money, gets the peace treaties. The Barbary pirates never mess with America ever again. Decatur and his fleet sail back home, and he tells the government what happened. The American government is blown away at the results that Decatur was able to achieve when asked how he managed to not only get peace treaties without too much violence, but also get a bunch of money and concessions on top of it. All Decatur said was,
You just gotta threaten him.
achieved through the mouth of our cannons. At
Literally.
which point, he was given the nickname the Conqueror of the Barbary Pirates.
That's
and with the rest
badass.
of the world seeing a new country in its infancy stand up for itself against the Barbary pirates and winning, they would start doing it too, and everybody started fighting back and quit paying tribute to the Barbary pirates, and in the coming years, they would fade into nothing as their 300-year reign of terror had come to an end.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, the moral of the story is please, for the love of
I have
God,
to say,
do
we'll
not
wait till the
mess
end.
with America's boats. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out.
Okay. That was a great video. I'm gonna wait till the end because you guys say there's some stuff.
Story
Okay.
of how America became the world police.
Some funny bits at the end you guys have told me.
Ends after the Korean War when NATO gets founded.
Oh no. God damn. No, that was a great video. And I have to say too, like, very interesting that only after everyone, like, you know, or only after America, like, took the initiative to go and, like, fight these pirates back did everyone else start doing it, you know? Because, again, it's the politics in Europe at the time. Everyone's trying to, like, get one over on each other. Everyone's trying to play everyone to their benefit. And the Barbary pirates, even though, like, they lost out on so much money giving it to, like, literally these pirates, they still act as a mercenary force. You can still rely upon them in times of war to fight against your enemy, potentially, right? So they were kind of like a useful thorn, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of how, like, I guess they were viewed as. But it makes you think, like, if they just, like, shut that shit down immediately, like, the British Empire was totally capable of doing it. They didn't do it. France, for a time, I'm sure was fully capable of doing it. They didn't do it. Spain at a time, definitely fully capable of doing it. Didn't do it, you know? And it's just funny that America across the seas has to go and, like, or across the ocean has to go and take the initiative to do this, because it's just like, fuck. And for America too, it's a huge problem, because again, your ships are so far away from home, you know, you can't support them. You got to do something about it. You got to be proactive about a situation like that. So it's awesome that you guys went out and did that. Yeah, I learned a lot in this video. The Fat Electrician, killing it again, making a fantastic video there for us. Very entertaining, very great cadence to his videos. Very comedic kind of take on stuff. But still, like, based in facts, based on knowledge. Some stuff I wish he would go a little bit more into detail about, but to get the message across, to get the story across, he does a great job at that. The video is entertaining as fuck. I love it. And I love his content here. So if you guys want to see more, make sure you let me know, because I would love to check out more from his channel, because, man, like, these videos are so engaging, you know? They really do just keep you engaged, and they keep you wanting more. I have to say, they're very, very addicting to watch. So yes, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course, leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principes, Dagenhart, and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. I appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day, of course. And with that, guys, this has been Centurion, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.